for 5. In all the years we've been doing this, it occurs to me that we suck at writing off characters. Bring me a comic book reviewer with attitude. Preferably one with obsessive knowledge of the Power Rangers and looks good in a hat.
Aye, this I need. I do the cooking, the cleaning, I even direct. Do I ever get a please from Mr. Bighead? No!
Just get me Linkara. Drama queen.
This is Linkara. Thank you.
Was he expecting applause?
I'd love to help you defeat the forces of evil, but I'm currently judging a cosplay contest at the Anime Sarajevo convention. So many Submariners. So I'm afraid I can't help you out. Just one of the many regrets of my life. Call me back next week and I'll see if I can't help you with your comic book related inquiry/crisis.
Oh, just get me the Last Angry Geek. I know he's available. Hey, how come you can never see my lips move?
Instagram filter. Enjoy the show!
It's reviewing time! But first, a selfie. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Comic Book Issues. I'm your host, the Last Angry Geek. The great thing about a comic book is your cast is eternally young. You don't even need to worry about aging within the context of your narrative. But if a good idea pops into your head that doesn't fit in the timeline of the story you're currently telling, well, that's what a miniseries is for. Now, I admit, when I was in college, I was a closet Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan. This was long before it was cool to love MMPR. That said, the series was designed for kids, and it never did closure very well. So, you're Boom Studios. You've got rights to produce the comic books based on the original series. Why not use that opportunity to showcase one of the most popular characters and give her a send-off worthy of her legacy? Written by Brendan Fletcher, Kelly Thompson, and Teenie Howard, and drawn by Danielle Di Niculo, this is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers PInk, issues 1 through 6. At a gymnastics competition in the Netherlands, Kimberly Ann Hart, former Pink Ranger, is upset that her mother and stepdad didn't show up. She decides to return home to see if they're all right. She ponders missing her old life in Angel Grove, being a Power Ranger and mostly missing her boyfriend, the leader of the Power Rangers, Tommy. She arrives home at the coastal French city of Saint-Moineau. However, the streets are empty and she can't shake the feeling of being watched. When she finds no trace of her mother, a loud crashing noise comes from the streets. She quickly breaks out a bow and arrow set, slips on an emergency communicator that Zordon gave her, and badass Kimberly heads out. A trio of green fish monsters are attacking a young man. She bursts out the Ranger Fu, beats them off, and escapes with the young fellow. Hiding in his family bistro, he introduces himself as Surge. He goes to school in London, but came back when he couldn't reach his family. He spotted the Gill men kidnapping townsfolk. There are still a few pockets of villagers hiding, but they're otherwise cut off. Surge saw the villagers being taken into a cave on the nearby cliffs. Kim asks that he remain with the other villagers, while she calls in some powerful reinforcements. Eh? You could say her favorite military unit is the Army Rangers? Kimberly's favorite overused 90s special effect was Morphin? You could say I'm mugging for the camera because I'm desperate for the attention that was withheld from me? Oh God, what a breakthrough. Kimberly contacts Zordon. The Rangers are off-planet fighting Rita and Zed. Kimberly is of course worried for her friends, but stays focused on the task at hand. Zordon offers her a solution. She never transferred the Pink Ranger power with the Sword of Light, as previous Rangers did when they left the team. Some might call that a gaping continuity error, but it's worked out nicely as now Zordon can remorph Kimberly with his own life force. She accepts, and Kimberly Hart is once again the Pink Ranger. She finds the cliffside cave and sees the town's citizens being herded into cages. The Gill men are quickly onto her, and she uses a combination of karate, bow and arrow, and even a force blast to subdue the monsters. However, the leader reveals himself, Goldar, Rita and Zed's general. He has Kimberly's mom, and in a matter of moments, his new servant, Verdo, transforms her into a Gill woman. The sea monsters are the town's citizens. The monsters surge, and Kim has no choice but to retreat, sealing the cave behind her to buy some time. She becomes human again and returns to the bistro, tossing Surge over her shoulder by mistake. She gets an idea and has Surge tell the remaining townsfolk to remain hidden. She contacts Zordon Alpha. Since the Rangers aren't available, what about her former friends, Trini, Jason, and Zach? Last seen being written off the show in wide shots with terrible voiceover impersonations. In fact, Comic Book Issues, I have a treat for you. Interviews with the original Red, Black, and Yellow Rangers. Gentlemen, lady, isn't it true that you were written off the show for asking for more money in your contracts? Not at all. The very idea. And it has to be said, for a while there, you were only appearing in full Ranger shots where your mouths were covered by those helmets, or in faraway shots where we couldn't see your faces. Why? Ghastly case of acne, dear boy. We are, after all, teenagers. Finally, in your final appearances, there were rumors of bad dubbing. Voice impressions that didn't match your original actor's sound at all. True or false? Oh, that's bang out of order. Who could we sound like but ourselves? That's crap, man. Crap. I thank you. Jason is working on something else for the Rangers, but it would be possible to share her pink power with Zach and Trini. They teleport her away even as Surge is spying, but is discovered by Verdo. Kimberly arrives in South America, where she gets a dive bomb hug from a parasailing Trini. She quickly brings her best friend up to speed and they go to find Zach. They've been working here on a project to repair the environment. Zach is teaching karate to some kids who just happen to be hanging out in the jungle. They reenact the earlier Surge toss, and then Kim gets swept up in a bear hug. Her friends agree to help her defeat Goldar, and they teleport back to France. They make contact with Zordon. Niceties aside, Kimberly can share her power with Trini and Zach, but it will leave him vulnerable. Because they're sharing energy, they'll be strongest as a unit and weak when alone. Zordon must leave the sword with Kimberly so they can transfer their power back to him when done. However, Kimberly briefly taps into the other Rangers' communicators and hears that Tommy is in trouble. Before they have time to react, they're beset upon by the Gillmen, and Goldar steals the Sword of Light, knocking them out with a blast of its energy. The three Rangers, again human, wake up in a cage. Goldar wanted a Ranger to come here in order to steal their power, which the sword will let him do. He can then charge up his latest acquisition, Typhonus, a new Megazord built from the remains of their broken and decommissioned Zords. Kim even recognizes her old Firebird. It was easy to defeat the Rangers. After all, he had help from his new friend Surge. Surge demands his sister back, but Goldar betrays him and throws Surge in a cage with his sister Britt. Kim swallows her anger and recognizes that he was just trying to protect his family. They need to move on, as Verdo continues to convert townsfolk into soldiers. Goldar spills the bean that Kimberly and company are Power Rangers, but Surge and Britt promise to keep their secret. They also realize they still have Zordon's communicator, and Trini gets to work. Suddenly, all 6 Power Rangers are there, and the Gillmen attack the teen heroes. But the Rangers are holograms, a recording projected by the communicator. The Gillmen run into cages, smashing them and freeing the heroes. Britt and Surge lead them through the caves, but one of the monsters catches up. Kimberly looks in its eyes and recognizes it. Mom! One I love you later, and it's all slimy hugs. If they're going to save the day, they need the Sword of Light. Kimberly returns to distract Goldar. She kicks the sword from his hand, grabs it, and the Rangers are morphed up again. It sounds like they're doing drugs! Kimberly just happens to kick sword. No doubt one of those designer drugs we're always hearing about. And then the Rangers morph up. Ugh. Kids, if you want to experience dizzying highs and see unbelievable things, then do what adults do. Get hammered on prescription pain pills and drink cheap rum. With this setback, Goldar and Verdo turn on each other. Goldar sees Verdo as a failure, and Verdo sees Goldar as a traitor to Rita and unleashes his army monster on the henchmen. Goldar flies into Typhonus, batting aside Kimberly, even as the team frees the remaining prisoners. Surrounded by Verdo and his Gillmen, she tries for one of those great reverse film super leaps, but barely gets 12 feet in the air. Away from the other Rangers, her personal power is diminished. Mom grabs her, though, and starts climbing up the cave wall, with Kimberly kicking off their pursuers. They follow Goldar into Typhonus, but he gets the upper hand, choking out Mom while literally crossing swords with Kimberly. They face off, but Typhonus shudders, and Mom gets free. While they built Typhonus, Verdo inserted an override into his trident. The Megazord is now his. This is why there's a clear chain of power and command among henchmen. Goldar was a fool to trust a monster that had just as much power and intelligence as he did. What he should have had was a comedic villain sidekick like Babu or Squad or that pig fella from the Power Rangers movie. Mordant, that was his name. I wonder whatever became of him.
Try Uncle Goldar's sidekick side bacon. Perfect for taking the blame after you turn against your masters and side with the pile of purple ooze.
Typhonus bursts free from the caves and heads into the sea. Trapped in the Zord, Goldar and Kimberly are going to drown. Kim blames the henchman for this. She wasn't even a ranger anymore, but that's why Goldar targeted her, knowing she was isolated and that her connection to Zordon would let him steal the ranger energy for his own purposes. But under fear of Rita and Zed finding out about his plans, he agrees to follow Kimberly's lead. They must capture Verdo alive to restore the French to human form, or as near as the French can get. Goldar explains Typhonus isn't a Megazord, the merged form of many other Zords, but rather a Zord built from the parts of other Zords. But they might be able to get a smaller Zord working again. They power up the Firebird, and it breaks free from Typhonus' crotch.
That reminds me of my failed career as a male stripper. My G-string went flying, but in fairness, it was also made from a real live bird. People weren't ready for me and my conceptual stripping ideas.
Goldar, sick of Kimberly's righteousness, jumps from the Zord and flies off. Verdo summons Typhonus and takes the Firebird down with his trident. He's about to convert the Black Ranger, but Surge dives in, saving Zack. Goldar snatches up Verdo, but he bites his way free and falls into the water. They decide it's time to return their energy to Zordon, but Alpha 5 has figured out that if they cut off Zordon's connection to the energy tube he manifests in, they'll free up enough energy to let Kimberly see this through. Zordon knows Kimberly needs a full team, and with the sword turns Surge and Brit into the new Red and Blue Ranger. Outside the cave, Goldar is waiting. He admits he needs their help to defeat Verdo and will keep him alive until the townsfolk are restored. With the remaining townsfolk, they set up traps, walls, and barricades around the village. Finally, Verdo returns. Goldar, Kim's fish mom, and the Rangers form up. As the Gillmen rush the town, they split up. Goldar attacking Typhonus, Brit and Surge trapping Gillmen, Zack and Trini scaling Typhonus to get at Verdo, while Kim takes off in her Firebird, which quickly loses power. With the Gillmen contained, the Rangers turn their attention to Verdo, who's captured Goldar. Alpha 5 comes through, though, and sends the Rangers shark cycles from the Ninja era, now upgraded to fly.
Oh, I wish. You can fly those shark cycles through the air like some sort of flying shark torpedo, or a some sort of shark that flies, which is as silly as it sounds, but definitely would not contain the cheesy special effects or bad acting of the Power Rangers, so, yeah.
They free Goldar, but Typhonus swats Kimberly's cycle out of the sky. Trini tries to catch her, but just as Kimberly's about to become street pizza, Goldar swoops in to save her. They reactivate the Firebird, thinking Verdo will signal it to return to Typhonus, taking Kimberly, her mother, and Goldar to their enemy. It works, and they make their way up inside Typhonus' crotch. However, the Zord destroys Zack's cycle. Fortunately, this time Trini does catch him. Goldar confronts Verdo, with Kimberly kicking him off the aquatic menace. They power down Typhonus. Defeated, Verdo changes the townsfolk back to human. Kim's mom doesn't remember anything that happened, but the Pink Ranger assures her daughter is fine. Leaving Zack and Trini to watch Goldar, Brit, Surge, and Kimberly become human again and reunite with their loved ones. Now, Goldar and Verdo will return to Zed and Rita. Except Goldar knows it's in his best interest to make sure his masters never learn of this disaster, and kills his monster compatriot. He flies off, threatening Kim's family if she should ever breathe a word of this failure. Disgusted, Kim goes looking for her friends and finds Trini and Zack in a lip lock. It's a little awkward, but Trini explains life-threatening emergencies aren't the time for boyfriend news. Time to return the energy to Zordon. All of a sudden, Alpha 5 makes contact. They've reached the other Power Rangers. The true Rangers are trapped and need help. Kimberly can't turn her back on her friends. They've got less than 12 hours before Zordon will die. Better late than never, the Zords Tor and Titanus show up. Team Pink is going to save the day.
Oh, well, I'd like to help, but we did just have a full-on adventure complete with the villains being defeated and everyone returned home safely, so... Alright, look, I've got Hamilton tickets. I'm sure Rita and Zed will understand.
Tommy and his team are pinned down on an alien world. Zed and Rita are using a disruptor installed on Serpentera to freeze the Ninja Megazord, and an army of putties stand in their way. The three Zords are now fused into the Typhonus Ultrazord and piloted by Kimberly's team. Although no one seems to recognize Kimberly's voice, the two teams work together. Tommy lays down a plan to destroy the disruptor and take back their Zords. Kim's stunned by his confidence. Would she have been that confident if she'd stayed a Ranger? The Ultrazord splits, and Zack pilots Tor towards Serpentera. He destroys the Disruptor and manages to avoid getting squashed, while Typhonus kicks aside the putty army. Serpentera easily destroys Tor and Titanus. Typhonus is constructed from broken, obsolete Zords. It can't possibly stand up to Serpentera for long. But then the evil Zord is blasted. Tommy's team is back in the Ninja Megazord. Kimberly orders him to leave, but Tommy's back in charge. They'll fight together and defeat Rita and Zed. Having won the day, both teams fly back to Earth. Trini and Zack think they should let their friends know it's them, but Kimberly doesn't want to. They need to get their energy back to Zordon first. Secretly, though, she's upset. Tommy almost died off-planet, and she didn't even know it was happening. Back in France, they return Zordon's energy, and the Sword of Light vanishes. The Zords return to hiding, but the whole team, not just Kim, gets communicators, should they ever need Zordon's help again. And it all seems like a happy ending, except it's not. After making sure her family is alright, she meets up with Trini and Zack. It's weird going back to being normal humans after once again being Power Rangers. But they deserve some time to themselves, and Kim promises not to lose touch again. She drives over to Serge and Britt's house, and they come out to talk to her. Are they mad they only got to be Rangers for a few hours? What? It was the most fantastic experience of their lives, and showed them that they want to keep helping people. No regrets. But Kimberly can't escape a sense of guilt. Tommy and her friends were in danger, and part of her feels like she should have been there with them. A Power Ranger. Tommy knows he was meant to be a Power Ranger. Kim's never felt that certain about anything. A year later, while training in Florida, Kimberly writes a letter. The letter to Mighty Morphin fans. She's finally ready to admit that she and Tommy are on different paths and they're not meant to be together anymore. Tommy is a Ranger, the best Ranger, but she wants to be more than just the Pink Ranger by his side. And that's okay, because she may no longer be a Power Ranger, but Kimberly Hart will always be a hero.
She's also a Jezebel, breaking poor Tommy's heart with that letter. Okay. Take those feelings and crush them down into a little ball where they won't bother anyone until they explode from your chest in a volley of accusations at Thanksgiving. So that's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pink. Was this the send-off Kimberly deserved? Was it too much to bring back Zack and Trini? And what about Goldar? Will he ever tell Scorpina how he really feels, or am I thinking of ZU Rangers again? Anyway, let's take a closer look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pink.
Well, the biggest issue I have with Pink is about the characterization of the existing characters. While I have no issues with Zack or Trini, in fact, it's nice to revisit that particular character and leave her in a good place in the light of the passing of actress Tweet Trank several years ago. The two big revamped characters we need to look at are Kimberly and Goldar. To say that the original show did no character development beyond the occasional amnesia storyline would be accurate. Here, we get to look at these characters in a new light. Goldar is still the cowardly warrior who feared Rita and Zed's wrath, but also here he has ambition. He wants to strike out and earn his own victories. Actually, his motivation is never made that clear. Mostly he's just reacting to things and threatening to lash out at anyone who might expose his ambition and then later failure to Rita and Zed. He does get to have moments here. Pride and ego when he thinks he's defeated the Rangers, fear and spite when he's losing, and finally hate when he kills Verdo in order to keep his place in the supervillain pecking order. Kimberly is also changed from the woman we remember. On the TV show, she was simply the girlfriend character, the nice girl who liked to have fun and was maybe a little vain. Now, on her own, she has to step up and be a leader. She has to take responsibility for herself and her friends. This reflects in her inner monologue her relationship with her mother. Recognizing her fear that something will happen to her mom is similar to all the times her mother must have worried about her as a child. The evolution of Kimberly in this is a little shaky. Her friends on a separate adventure almost died, and she might not have ever known about it. That creates a strong desire to return to what is comfortable, but by the end she recognizes that she's grown past that, or at least recognize that she's able to grow past that. I'm not sure why we needed the 1 year later caption. That seems like a long time to wait for emotional closure in this story, but I suppose they were just lining it up with the proper events in the TV series. As for the plot, it's a decent story with a logical progression. It pretty much ignores that awful peace conference storyline that wrote off Jason, Zack, and Trini, and put Zack and Trini in the jungle working for a sort of Peace Corps organization. Again, a better ending than the one they got. Things get strange in issue 6. It's almost like an epilogue to the entire series. Goldar is gone, and now we're on to saving the original Power Rangers from Rita and Zed. I had a lot of problems with issue 6. There's no character development for these new characters, but there really wasn't any time. I felt like the writers, all three of them, were maybe running out of space and realized they needed a few extra pages to give Kim her wrap-up, and then were stuck filling out an entire issue to get there. As for the art in this book, I really liked it. It has a sort of highly stylized cartoon feel that works. Daniela Di Nicola is able to portray Zord's facial expressions and action scenes with a wonderful flair that never bores or confuses her reader. The art is very polished and very enjoyable. There are a few flaws in this book. Fuzzy motivation for some of the characters, and a superfluous final issue. But all in all, Pink is a lot of fun. And if you're a fan of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers show, this is a great book to break into Power Rangers comics with. I give Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pink, issues 1 through 6, 4 out of 5 stars. Here's hoping that they eventually do some Zeo Ranger comics, because that show definitely needs a ton of backstory explanation. Until then, this is Comic Book Issues, and I'm your host, the Last Angry Geek. Like, why is it the dinosaur gods included 2 non-dinosaurs? And when the gods come back to modern times, why are they suddenly transforming robots? And why does Bandora live in Bandra Palace? Why the name difference? And if Griffosaur and Lamy have a